Good afternoon, everyone. A very, very warm welcome. I'm Javid Thomas, co-founder of Race Equality Matters, along with the fantastic Raj Tulsiani of Green Park. I'm also the founder of the Collaboratory, which creates collaborations to tackle societal issues that matter the most. With me today is the wonderful Donna Robertson, Race Equality Matters project manager. And we have members of the Race Equality Matters team who are also in the background supporting on this. So hi to them. We also have with us today one of our tea break experts and a Race Equality Matters trailblazer, the fantastic Yvonne Okiyo from Hammersmith and Fulham Council. Thank you for joining us today, Yvonne, and we will hear more from her soon. So next slide, please. Today's session would be fantastic, and I'm saying that because I've heard Yvonne speak before, how to run a tea break workshop with a chance to collaborate, and that's important, with each other and learn from each other and ask questions. There will be polls. Donna will talk through the 11 steps of the guide, how to do it right guide. And this includes why each step exists and were identified and how important it is to get it right, but we'll show you how to do that. There will be collaborative discussion groups and top tips shared, which I mentioned. You'll hear from Yvonne a number of times throughout the event. And finally, we'll have time at the end to squeeze in a few Q&As, which we'll ask you to put in the chat. We will finish at 1:15 p.m. Next slide, please. As you may hopefully know, our focus is on providing you with the tools, resources, skills, and solutions to make an impact. This includes creating concepts and solutions in collaboration with those with lived experience of race inequality and our community of change makers. We also shine a light on other solutions that also make an impact. So it's important, we just want to see what's good out there, or what's making a difference. So just to briefly introduce you to our solutions, Race Equality Week, if it's not in your diary, it needs to be there now, 6th to 12th of February. It's always the first Monday every year. Then Safe Space, a model that runs in a protected environment. It enables brave conversations, uncomfortable discussions, and more importantly, is action focused. And it kind of nicely links with Tea Break, which is why we're here today. We've got the Big Promise, which is all about turning words into action, and will be a key part of Race Equality Week. And My Name Is, which is all about the importance of pronouncing each other's names correctly and using phonetic spellings to support this. So in collaboration with Edelman, we launched, or they helped us launch, an amazing phonetic tool to support the My Name Is campaign during Race Equality Week. And we were blown away by the response. And these are just some of the examples. We tracked 50,000 social posts, which had 1.7 billion impressions, and it's still going strong. So it just shows about how important it is to get our names right. So if your organization hasn't heard about the campaign or looked into it, please do so. It's for your customers, your clients, your staff, and your communities. We provide all these solutions, how to do it right guides and workshops, free to individuals like yourselves. So to remove some of the key barriers you face in tackling race equality, we know budget can be an issue. However, this is only possible with the support of our partners. So we must thank them because they fund us in this work. So that's Green Park and a lifetime visionary partner, BT. We're hoping to have another big partner come on board pretty soon, fingers crossed, so we can keep doing this work. And other founding partners, Auto Trader, Data Marketing Association, Edelman, and HS2. As I said, we are a not-for-profit and keen and indeed need further funding to keep going and create more solutions. So if your organization wants to get involved, help support through a donation, marketing, or sponsorship, please do get in touch. Phone calls to us are free. Your support will mean we can unite more people and organizations to be part of this movement to accelerate change. A bit of housekeeping. This event will be recorded for those that are here today, and we'll provide it to you after the event. If you have any questions along the way, please do put them in a chat and we'll do our best to answer them. Your sound will be auto-disabled until the discussion groups. Please do feel it's important to tweet and post social media content during or after the event. And you'll see our handles on the right. We need to let other people know about this. So as the event goes on and you're inspired, please let other people know about it. And if not already, please do follow us on LinkedIn. That's where you hear about stuff in advance or get opportunities to get involved in things. So, and it signposts you to other good work going on. So as we'd like to do is what I call State of the Nation. So if we just launch a quick poll, it'll take about 1:30. If you just fill out what you can, it's just to get a sense of who's in the room today and where you are in your journey for tea break and tackling race inequality in your organizations. Thank you all for completing the poll. As we can see today, 54% of us identify as ethnically diverse or equivalent, and 46% of allies. So a good mix and nearly 50-50, which is fantastic. Question 2, in your organization, how do you identify and what role you play? So 41% are diversity and inclusion representatives, 21% race network members, and 13% race network leads. 15% of us here today are senior leaders, so you're very welcome. Question 3, please tick all that apply to you, read the tea break. So 52% of you have not downloaded the guide yet, so only 48% of you have. We fully encourage you to all to download the guide. 33% have downloaded the guide but not read it yet. But fantastically, 15% have downloaded the guide and read it. 8% of you have been to previous tea break. 11% of you believe you might be the project lead going forward. So I guess a lot of you here are for colleagues and to take back to your organizations. So hopefully we can inspire you today. Has your organization implemented any of the following solutions? So 31% have participated in Race Equality Week, 25% My Name Is, 20% Save Space, and 11% of you here today have done tea break before, so which is fantastic. Question 5, how is your organization addressing race inequality? One of our key questions. As you see, 38%, so a third, focus on action, not just words, which is brilliant, but we need to get the numbers up. 48% talks and does a little bit of action. So 15% just talks, does very little or nothing at all. Question 6, have you noticed much change within your organization in the last 12 months in tackling race inequality? Only 10% of you, a great deal. 63%, so 2/3, a little, not enough, or not at all. Question 7, do you feel your senior leaders and managers are committed to tackling race inequality? So 46% say yes. So the numbers are actually going down for quite a while. It's been the 60%. 39% say a little, but not enough. So again, showing some commitment, but not enough for you to believe different change is going to happen. Question 8, in your organisation, who do you think is playing a key part in tackling race inequality? And as you can see, there is 61% ethnically diverse colleagues. Now the rest, allies, only 38%. So 62% believe that allies aren't playing a key part. As you can see, the other two key players are 54% D&I functions and 43% HR. Only 26% leaders and 21% of managers. So it's showing that not everyone is playing a key part in tackling race inequality. And that's why our theme for Race Equality Week 2023 is it's everyone's business. Until it's everyone's business, we won't get the change we want to see and indeed feel. Question 9, in your organisation, in general, what part do allies play in tackling race inequality? So as you can see here, only 13% think majority of allies play a key part. That's 87% don't think the majority of allies are. 33% think a fair number are making an impact. And it's 40% believe no, little action or very few are making an impact. So it shows there's still a way to go for allies to play the key part they need to play to create change. Final question in the first poll. Do you feel your senior leaders and managers are confident in talking about race? As you can see, only 25% feel comfortable or very comfortable. And that's consistent in about 20 different polls we've done. So it shows 75% are still not comfortable in talking about race. And that's critical for us to create the change. We also believe that tea break will help change people's confidence in talking about race, which will create the change we want to see and the impact we want to hear about. So thank you all for taking part in the first poll. So what is tea break? So the best way to do this is to share a quick video with yourselves.
The tea break provides the framework and opportunity for an organisation to hear the honest voice and feelings of its colleagues about race inequality. All employees are invited to join a 1-hour themed online discussion about an issue that matters. Individuals can remain anonymous, listen to others, or actively participate. It's freedom of choice. Benefits of the tea break include fosters inclusion, supports well-being, highlights issues for action, removes the barriers and the fear of talking about race, normalises conversations on race, and builds understanding of the issues. You can also join the Race Equality Matters Tea Break community. We've set up a peer support network on Guild. Guild is a community app for professionals. It provides private, secure spaces for collaborative discussion. Guild is already helping over 20,000 people have conversations that matter. We also have a tea break guide, co-created by those with lived experiences of race inequality. This guide consists of 4 phases and 11 steps. This guide outlines the practical steps you can follow to set up and run a tea break.
Hopefully that's given you a good overview. Tea Break was created, and it's important to say, in collaboration with Network Rail and their Culture Fusion Race Network. So they shared it with the community, and then we built it with them. And Mental Health First Aid England have contributed as well, and we'll explain that about keeping our staff safe as we go through the guide. The best way to get started with Tea Break is by downloading and reading a How to Do It Right guide. And we see 50% have done it, so the other 50%, please do so. We know it's making an impact. Since we launched Tea Break a year ago, we've had 500 unique downloads from 430 different organisations who reach between them 2 million employees. So you can imagine the impact it'll have if all these organisations run it. And 78% of participants surveyed believe it will help tackle race inequality in their organisations. So do access the free resource now. We'll put a link in the to the guide in the chat you may see, and we will send it to you afterwards as well. The How to Do It Right guide is primarily for the Tea Break project lead and facilitator, which many of you are here today. It was created to provide a step-by-step support. It's based on research and workshops, the Race Equality Matters and the collaborative RAM with the network. As mentioned, it's created with Network Rail's Culture Fusion Network and Mental Health First Aid England and those with lived experience. Importantly, it is a guide. So feel free to adapt it as you need it for your organizations and suitable for your respective organizations. So it's not mandatory, it's a guide. But there are two mandatory elements. So one is having a facilitator for the tea break. And you'll find more about that in the guide, and Donna will touch upon it. And the need to keep colleagues safe during and post the tea break. For some, it can be extremely uncomfortable, emotional discussions. As mentioned before, the guide is there to support you, and it will tell you why each step is necessary and find a key points. Now, Louise Chandler, she read the guide, and within 3 weeks, she ran the tea break. She was nervous, she was anxious about it, but she ran it, and she said, wow, you know, and she got a lot of positive feedback from colleagues, and it grew her race network as well. Next slide, please. There are green boxes, as you can see, with a red line as well, highlighting ideas to consider, but also checklists to sum up and keep key actions for each step. So it helps you along your way, kind of, for people like me, I call it an idiot's guide. It gives me step by step. It is in 2 parts. The first part will tell you about the origins and case of tea break. So I know some organizations have to go up the line and share why we're doing it. So it explains about that. And it also highlights 8 key steps, but simple steps, which addresses why projects and initiatives often fail. And many of us have experienced that, which is based on psychologist Dr. John Kotter's of Harvard's 8 Steps for Leading Change. And this has been designed for us by consultancy firm Nexus, which we could just share the 8 steps. So again, this will be in the guide and explains why 8 steps. So create a sense of urgency, create credible collaboration within the organization, start with the end in mind, communicate at every opportunity, keep that communication going, remove obstacles quickly, create quick mini wins, build on the gains, and make change part of the corporate culture. So fire them boxes, but you often fail. So I said there's some science behind that, and we share that with you because we thought that's quite important of why some initiatives don't take off the ground. So next slide, please. Yvonne, if you could kindly take yourself off mute. So before we go into the second part of the guide, a step-by-step with Donna, I'm delighted to introduce you to Yvonne Okiyo from Hammersmith and Fulham Council. Hammersmith and Fulham have been awarded with Race Equality Matters Trailblazer status for tea break solution after successfully running it with meaningful impact. Trailblazer status is something your organization can apply for if you do go on to implement it successful. Yvonne is the Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Lead at the London Borough of Hammersmith and Fulham. Her expertise and strategic capabilities span 15 years working in a variety of public sector settings across London. She's spoken at conferences on issues relating to equality and inclusion and has been a guest on Channel 5 News, George Floyd's special edition, entitled Everyday Racism, and is an accredited peer of Local Government Association. Yvonne has extensive knowledge and experience of developing and driving forward ambitious EDI agendas in collaboration with various key senior stakeholders and staff working groups, resulting in significant shifts and change for the communities and organizations she's worked for or with. So we're thrilled to have you here today, Yvonne. So just before we go to Donna, can we just ask you, why did you decide to run tea break at Hammersmith and Fulham Council?
Firstly, thank you for having me and for that very, great introduction. I didn't give Javed a fiver for that, by the way, so very, very much honoured. So thank you very much. Why we decided to run tea break. So following the murder of George Floyd, Hammersmith and Fulham, I guess similar to other organisations, we're looking inwardly as to what we are doing to tackle racial inequality in the workplace. Our chief executive took the action to hold, we call them now, it's not the time to be silent, sessions with staff, Black, Asian and multi-ethnic staff, just to hear from staff as to what we can do to address race inequality in the workplace. What really stood out is staff felt there isn't a space, that they're not afforded the opportunity, or there aren't opportunities to discuss just issues around racism in the workplace, or share their lived experiences. They raise a number of issues they are facing in the workplace, such as, in relation to career progression, etc. But there isn't the opportunity to voice this to senior leaders or just to discuss these in the workplace and have those everyday conversations. And that's really where the Tea Break Tuesdays sprung from.
Fantastic. And so what impact have you seen so far?
The impact has been great. So where we just started, so this was before I joined the organization. So I think they started having them every couple of, so basically to summarize, Tea Break Tuesday is now an annual, it's now a monthly event, sorry. We used to have them every fortnight. We now have them monthly, I guess, just to resource. So it's part and parcel of what we do at Hammersmith and Fulham. So we call it, at Hammersmith and Fulham, we call them Tea Break Tuesdays, and we hold them every month. So they're part and parcel of what we do, and they become business as usual in our organisation. So what started as just small conversations amongst small groups of staff have now grown. Whereas we just started those in the Race Equality Forum, we now open them out wider to wider staff across the organisation. And it is like a calendar event that goes out to staff. So it's in our diaries for people to attend if they can, of course. And we've been doing this for just over a year now. So in the past year and a half, we've had these as monthly sessions in the organisation. In terms of the impact, we're really keen not just to have these as talking shops. And as we say, it's about actions, not words. Not, you know, it's going that one step further. So it's not just the fact that, you know, it's now an occurrence in our everyday, well, on a monthly basis, but it's also more the follow-up action following the sessions, which is just even more important, if I'm honest, because I think we've had enough of, you just have these conversations and it's not really going anywhere. People have given up their time, that they've shared things that are quite personal in some cases. They've really been brave. And as an organisation, you really need to honour that by showing staff, yes, we appreciate you sharing your experience, but we have listened to what you've said, and this is what we're going to do to address those issues you've raised. So it isn't just a case of staff being brave enough to have those conversations and share the experiences, but the organisation actually following through in terms of the issues we've discussed, whether that's short-term, medium-term or long-term, but we're actually moving forward and actually taking action, which is really key.
Fantastic. And it sounds like, yeah, it's embedded as part of the norm, which is fantastic,
yes,
as opposed to
exactly.
a pop-up.
Thank you. So it's trying to normalise it, but more importantly, keeping those conversations going. I think my main concern, once we had the Black Lives Matter movement and everyone had the squares, etc., it was very performative. I was thinking that the key thing is we need to ensure we're keeping these conversations going, which is what we're doing at Hammersmith and Fulham, but also following up the conversations with actions.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. And we'll hear from Yvonne later again. So now I'll hand you over to Donna, who will take you through the first steps 1 to 3 of the How to Do Right guide. We'll then hear from Yvonne, and then we give you all a chance to collaborate. So over to Donna, sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. As David said, I'm going to take you through the 11 steps in different sections that are outlined in the How to Do It Right guide. So this is only a top-line walkthrough, but if you download the guide, it'll take you through each step in a lot more detail. So it's really worth having a good read of it. So next slide. Thank you. So we're going to start our journey at step 1 and phase 1. And this is all about making tea breaks safe. You need to assure the psychological safety and well-being of the participants. Talking about race inequality requires honesty, openness, and courage as well. And that means that participants might feel vulnerable. They might be concerned about negative repercussions in terms of their career and their mental health, or also how they might be judged or perceived. So it's really important to consider the psychological safety of the individuals that you're engaging with. We recommend that you create a meaningful psychological safety statement signed by senior leaders, as this endorsement will encourage people to be honest. And also that you give some thought to the meeting rules and behaviours. So use the Chatham House rule, which means that participants are free to use the information received, but neither the identity or the affiliation of the speakers or any other participants can be revealed. We also recommend that you don't record the tea break unless you've got a very good reason to do so. During the session, empower participants to call time out if it gets too much, provide support and signpost them to resources. We also advise that you conduct wellbeing checks before, during and after the tea break, because it can be really emotional for people who are sharing their feelings and experiences. And it can also be emotional for those people that are hearing those honest views as well. So psychological safety, as Javed mentioned, is a very big element of tea break. And there's a lot more information in the guide around that. So if we go to the next slide. So when you've done that and considered that and got things in place for that, the next phase is all about finding the right people to champion, drive and deliver the tea breaks. So in step 2, you'll identify your tea break lead, someone who's going to spearhead the initiative and support it from start to finish. It could be you, but if it isn't, find someone that's got energy, focus and continuity. So we'll bring continuity to the initiative and look for passion, people skills, resourcefulness and persistence. Brief them on tea break so they've got the right information to understand the scope of the role, and then get their agreement to be the lead, and ask them what they might need support wise to help them do that. Next slide, please. So we're now at step 3, which is about gaining senior endorsement. So researchers found that having senior endorsement is a driver for success when it comes to diversity and inclusion. Their endorsement and involvement signals to the rest of the organisation that any issues raised will be taken seriously. So we recommend that you meet with senior leaders to explain what tea break is, explain the benefits and why leadership involvement is critical, and then also highlight their role in establishing the psychological safety of the participants and explain what they can do to support the initiative and how also they can engage with line managers. If you get line managers' commitment to support their employees' involvement, they'll empower colleagues to attend the tea break, which will help with numbers and promotion, which we'll come on to shortly. So next slide. And then when you've covered steps 1 to 3, it's time to create your working group. So the working group will run the initiative from start to finish. So from identifying tea break themes and promoting them right through to running and evaluating them. As tea break is a pan-organisation initiative, we recommend that you create a diverse group with a broad range of skills and choose an effective chairperson as well. So back to you now, Javed.
Thank you. Before we'll cover the next steps, we'll hear from Yvonne again. So if we can have Yvonne back on the screen, please. As highlighted by Donna, and absolutely crucial, is looking after people's safety is integral to tea break and actually anything in this space. So how did you go about doing that?
So in Hammersmith and Fulham, which I think a majority of organisations have, we have mental health first aiders. I'm not sure if other organisations have those as well. I happen to be one. We're now calling ourselves wellbeing champions. So we try and ensure one or more mental health first aiders attend the sessions. Prior to each session, we also share not necessarily ground rules, that they're kind of ground rules, but we emphasize the fact that it is a safe space, what support is available during and after the session, signposting to any support individuals may need, just some of the things Donna mentioned. So if someone needs to take time out, rejoin, that sort of thing. But again, it's emphasizing, the session won't be recorded. It's a space where, individuals can feel free to share their lived experiences without any fear of repercussions, etc. And just creating that safe environment. So we highlight that right at the beginning of the session before we start each tea break.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And yeah, we know some organizations show a crib sheet at the beginning with the ground rules that's suitable for that organization. So yeah, thank you. Donna also covered the importance of finding the right people. So how do you engage the right people to support to deliver tea break, and what were their roles?
So again, we haven't followed, I mean, your guide is a guide, so we haven't followed it verbatim. What is really imperative is having that senior leadership support. So we certainly have that. At Hammersmith and Fulham, we have a senior responsible officer for race equality, which is great. So she champions this in terms of the senior leadership team. But again, it's ensuring you have senior leadership team support and those that trickle down from them. We invite them to meetings, for example, because I think it's really important that senior leadership actually hear what the staff are saying. But it's also getting support from respective departments. So a lot of the issues tend to be HR related issues, for example. So we'll try and get HR representation and getting those key decision makers and the people we feel really need to hear it. It isn't a case of just preaching to get converted. It's also trying to get other colleagues. So depending on the theme topic, a lot of these are, the aim of these is to be educational as well. So for example, we've had tea breaks on microaggressions or white privilege, and where, you know, there's key topical issues that are really there to also educate other members of staff. We get allies involved. So it's really trying to think across the breadth of the organisation in terms of who can get involved, participate and support.
Really fantastic, thank you. And I think that's, so we know some organisations have, like Hammersmith have run Hammersmith and Fulham have run tea break, fantastic, and others have struggled. But at the heart of it is getting the right people. So now what we're going to do is give you all a chance to collaborate with each other, and to you're going to go into small groups of 8 for about 6 or 7 minutes, and it's how do you go about engaging the right people. So how would you include senior management? How do you get your project lead and pull together a working group? So you'll all have top tips for each other. Some of you may be new to this within your organizations. That's fine. So if we just share some top tips with each other, you'll go in them groups, unmute yourselves. If one of you could just keep an eye on the time, so we're going to allow for about 6 minutes and give everyone a chance to have a say in the meeting. Your names are on your screen, so hopefully you can, you know, please don't spend time introducing yourselves because that will take up the whole 6-7 minutes. So please, Emily will now put a screen up. So please do join one of the groups, and then we look forward to seeing you back here in 6 or 7 minutes. We'll give a 1-minute warning. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. So a really interesting sharing of ideas in our group. Some people got experience of it and some people new to it, but hopefully that was kind of helpful for everybody. What we'd like to do now is we'll go into, I'll hand you back to Donna, who will talk about steps 5 and 6, phase 3. You're muted if you're talking, Donna.
Thank you. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you, Javed. So at step 5, we're ready to prepare and go live. And this step is all about shaping the structure. And one of the biggest benefits of tea break is that it enables regular and consistent discussion of race and equality issues. The frequency and format will vary depending on your organization. As you heard Yvonne say, they run them monthly now. We recommend that you liaise with colleagues when scheduling tea breaks to ensure that everyone has a good opportunity to attend, and also that you schedule the tea break as part of the working day to encourage attendance and reinforce the organisation's commitment to race equality. Also, when you're sort of planning your tea breaks, think about a variety of formats to keep the tea breaks fresh and interesting. So for example, you might want to have a speaker at one event, or showcase a video, or perhaps have a panel at another, or start with 2 hosts talking about a chosen theme at another, just to sort of to mix it up a little bit. So next slide, please. So now you've determined the frequency and the format of tea break. Step 6 is when you start to identify themes. So each tea break is going to focus on a particular theme. And the reason that that's important is it provides a focus for discussion, and it enables deeper, more meaningful conversations. we'd recommend that you look within the organisation for themes. For example, brainstorm ideas with colleagues, analyse staff survey findings, or run polls with colleagues. You can also look outside the organisation as well. So look at the media, focus on key D&I dates such as Black History Month or Race Equality Week. So there are various ways that you can generate theme ideas. Keep a note of the themes that have been discussed and which are the most popular, because that will help you plan future tea breaks. So back to you now, Javed. We can't hear you, Javed.
Thank you. Sorry, when themes can be very relevant to your organization. So I think Yvonne talked about progression, but we know a lot of organizations have been talking about what's been going on in Iran and cutting of hair from different perspectives. So a really good way to learn more about and understand different people's perspectives and understanding of it. So, and we'll be talking about themes with yourselves in a sec. So back to Yvonne. Donna mentioned the frequency of the tea break sessions and will depend on your organization. So you mentioned you do them sort of like for every sort of month. How long are your sessions typically?
So we hold them monthly for an hour.
Fantastic, yeah. And some people said half an hour. So why have you gone for the hour?
I don't think half an hour is enough, because a lot of these topics or themes are really topical, and I think you're just scratching the surface if it's half an hour. I guess it depends on the organization, but there's just so much to discuss in that hour. You'll find I don't think half an hour really does it, but again, it will differ for different organizations. Sorry, I should say we used to hold them monthly, we now hold them bi-monthly.
Okay.
But yes, for an hour.
Brilliant, thank you. I know Culture Fusion Network Rail started half an hour, and then they said, yeah, by the time you're warming up and getting into it, and it felt very frustrating to finish then, and that hour, you know, and they said, to be honest, you could go on beyond the hour, but the hour is more relevant. So again, just to share with people, thank you for that.
And it's a really important topic, so we need to give it the time, because sometimes if it's a priority and it shows the organisation how important it is to you, half an hour just isn't enough.
Yeah,
an hour shows the commitment as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, and how do you decide what themes you'll cover, and which ones have you found to be most popular?
So the themes, I think we just started touching on this in my breakout room. I've said to colleagues in there, it's really, as Donna said, it's doing this with your staff as opposed to doing it to them, or they'll just switch off. So in terms of the themes, these come from the staff themselves. So at each tea break, we have a little, you know, you have your Microsoft forms for feedback, etc., and we'll say, what would you like us to discuss in the next one? Or we'll have a little poll, and staff will literally vote on what they want the next topic to be on. Similarly, we ask staff to tell us what they'd like us to discuss as well, and then we'll have a vote on that too. So majority tend to be on quite topical things that are happening in society at present, and some are just things, again, like you said, things happening in the workplace. So it's the right mix, but we prefer these to come from our staff. And if we notice we haven't got enough, we'll just, again, put it out to vote and go with which ones are most popular.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And just an answer to, I think, a few, is it Sandra, Arlene, and Kelly asking how big are the groups? So actually, a lot of organizations are running virtual, so actually you can have as many as you want attending it. The advantage of virtual, again, people can have their screen off and feel a bit more anonymous if they want on that, and I guess so it's open to as many people as possible, and the majority of people are listeners, but it's a way of learning. So but what people are finding, people that don't normally speak are speaking up on depending on the topic, so there is no limit to these groups. Safe space is a limit to numbers, and that's a different initiative, but on this one, the more the better. And it's not just for ethnically diverse colleagues, it's the wider staff population. What we're going to do, because I know a few of you have asked a question as well, if we could just all go into the chat and just write down topics you think would be of interest. So topics you think will be interest. We'll collate all this, and then after the event, most probably early next week now, we will share all the topics. So you've got like a menu that you can all access. So if you can contribute to this, just different themes that could be considered. And again, like Yvonne said, share it with your colleagues to get them to vote on the most popular topics. Listen to them. So if you could just go into the chat, we'll give us 30 seconds. There's no right or wrong answer. We'll collate all these and share them with you. So so we've got microaggressions, white privilege, intersectionality, difference between diversity and inclusion, recruitment progression, how to be a better ally, emotional tax, eliminating barriers. So tons coming through there. So thank you for this. Please do keep adding, and then you'll all get this. So this is all another way we can learn some really inspiring. I think that'll keep you going for 5 years, let alone 1 or 2 months. So thank you for that. Okay. I'm now going to hand you back to Donna, who'll go through the final steps, 7 to 11. And then again, we'll hear from Yvonne. Back to Donna. Thank you.
Thanks, Javed. So now you've explored your themes and you've shaped your tea break format. Step 7 is the start of phase 3, which is all about preparing and going live. So the first part of this is promoting your tea break. And promotion is key. You're going to need to let your colleagues know about your tea break and encourage them to attend. So think about the information that they'll need to know when deciding to attend. And again, safety is one of them. So when you're promoting it, it's important to make that very clear. Use a range of internal channels to ensure the majority of colleagues have an opportunity to see and digest the information, and think about ongoing communications to ensure colleagues are aware of which tea breaks are coming up and when, and what has happened as a result of tea break discussions. Next slide. Oh, we have Valerie from Hammersmith and Fulham here. I think what we do get a lot of feedback from organisations that run tea break is that people that may not necessarily have a voice or haven't necessarily spoken out in a lot of organisations. People that are organising tea breaks are hearing from people across the board. So it's an extremely inclusive forum, and allows people from all departments and all teams to come together and discuss. So next slide. So step 8 is all about preparation. So you get the most out of your tea break session. So to ensure that it runs smoothly, there are a few things to prepare and think about in advance. One of the things is finding a facilitator, the right facilitator. So you're going to need someone who can manage behavior and maintain the focus on the chosen theme. They must ensure that the tea break is constructive, safe and fair. And then we also advise you to appoint a chat manager, someone who's going to monitor the chat, answer questions, and show in the moment appreciation and support the facilitator. And then the other thing is to think about questions, materials, and also run a tech test in advance, just so that it goes smoothly. And next slide. So at step 9, you are at the point of running your tea break. So during the session, set the tone, put participants at ease, and set the ground rules. Deal with questions as they arise or as soon as possible afterwards, and remind participants of available support. There are some organisations featured in the guide if you don't have your own within your organisation. So next slide, we are at step 10 of the journey. So you've run your first tea break. It's been fabulous. You've had lots of interaction, and there are just a few post-event essentials. So after the tea break, it's essential to follow up with colleagues, ensure action is taken where relevant, and assess what went well and what needs improvement for next time. The first priority, again, is to support colleagues' well-being. Remind them of the support that's available. You might also want to check in personally with some individuals. And also, if the organisation takes any action as a consequence of tea break discussions, please do share that information with the colleagues as well. And then review the tea break with your colleagues and have a debrief to capture the best practice and lessons learned. So next slide. We're at the end of the journey, and at step 11, it's time to monitor progress. So it's important to understand the overall impact the initiative's having on colleagues and the organisation. And this just enables continuous improvement and provides evidence of progress. So review the tea break to identify trends and understand what works well and what needs improvement. Where the organisation is committed to take action, again, keep track of the action, deadlines and progress, and survey colleagues to gauge the impact that, that tea break is having on them. And then next slide, just finally, please do share your experiences with us, Race Equality Matters, and help us inspire others. We need more trailblazers like Yvonne and Hammersmith and Fulham Council. Just, you know, it's incredibly valuable to have that first-hand insight that we can share with others. So back to you now, Javed. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Donna. And sort of like final couple of questions for Yvonne. And I think it's quite crucial. You've got the great content, you've got everyone, senior leaders and people engaged. How do you make sure, or how do you promote it so people know about it?
We use as many communication channels as we can. So whatever internal comms channels are available, we use it. So we have our Race Equality Forum newsletter. We use departmental newsletters. As I've mentioned before, Outlook is in everyone's calendars. Those who have signed up for it anyway. Things like Yammer. So as far and wide as possible. The intranet, just to inform people what's coming. So, you know, they have it in their diaries, team meetings, etc.
I know some organisations use posters in the bathrooms as well. So, you know,
yeah,
everyone gets
for those who are more in the office. Yeah, so physical and online, just use as much as you can.
Thank you. We mentioned there's two must-haves for tea break. One is the safe environment, and the other is a facilitator. Do you need an expert facilitator? And what top tips would you give to someone looking to run this in their organisation?
I wouldn't say you need an expert. I mean, if you have an EDR lead like myself in your organisation, it's helpful to obviously work in collaboration with them. But where you don't have that, you have experts in your organisation. The key thing is reaching out to those individuals. So majority of tea breaks, of course, if it's Race Equality Matters, will be your Black, Asian and multi-ethnic colleagues. Those are your experts. So it's, as I said before, in the breakout room, is really reaching out to those individuals and getting them to get involved and participate. So we have, I guess, a rota, for want of a better word, of in terms of what the topic will be and who will facilitate each session. And we support each other in terms of the content, etc. So you'd have your two facilitators, and then, like Donna said, we'll have someone monitoring the chat, etc. And where one, if someone has suggested a topic, would say, would you like to present the topic, for example? So again, it's looking for the expertise within your organisation. If someone is really passionate about something, we're happy for them to lead on it. Again, it's a way you can develop staff. So that's another way to look at it as well. So it's really looking at the experts you actually have within your organisation. There might be some specialist topics or areas you might invite a speaker in, for example, who might be an expert in that space. But if not, you'll be surprised how many in your organisation can really do it well.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much. I'm conscious of time, so the next discussion was going to be about how to get more people engaged. But I think comms, I think you've summed up most of the areas, but I'm conscious of time. So what I think is important, if we can try and get a Q&A at the end. So we'll part of that. But what I would like is, if without any prior warning, we'd like to take a couple of group photos, if that's okay. So if we could have the multi-gallery on, so you put your hair and teeth in place or whatever. If you don't want to be in the photo, please, feel free to put your screen off. We understand that. But one of our colleagues, Sam, will be taking a couple of group photos, if that's okay. Sam, if you're on mute, so if you could just say when you've done it, that'd be fantastic. But this is our way of just sharing it with the community afterwards, to let more people know about this. And again, please feel free to like and share with your networks. if you can kindly let us know when you're done,
Yeah,
Sam, that'd be
that's all
great.
done.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. So before we go into the Q&A, which will include Yvonne, so please feel free to think about some questions for Yvonne, and then we'll put them in a chat and I'll go through them with Yvonne. We'd like to mention about Trailblazers, which Hammersmith and Fulham won the first. So we want to recognise, and it's important, showcase organisations that are driving meaningful change so you can see what works. It's signalling organisations' commitment to taking action on race inequality and making an impact. And that's how we look at it. Each application is reviewed and scored by independent panel members, all whom identify as ethnically diverse. No one in the Race Equality Matter team is involved in that. It's a completely neutral people outside. If you've not been a judge yet, Yvonne, you will be next time. The panel decides which organisations deserve Trailblazer accreditation mark. There are two types of Trailblazers. One is for one of the solutions like that. So now Hammersmith and Fulham can proudly show the Tea Break Trailblazer logo for life. So thank you for that. And the next slide, please. And the other is we apply for bronze status initially, and there's different levels to get up to platinum. But the idea is to keep momentum going, and this is all about action and showing impact, not words. Next slide, please. We have our first wave of Race Equality Matter Trailblazers. So here they are, a mix, and we're actually judging the second wave now. There are only going to be 2 windows a year. So the next wave will be in March. So, and we'll send you a link to apply your interest if you want to be part of that, because there's limited spaces to be reviewed. Next slide, please. We'd also like to mention the new Race Equality Matters job board. It's alive on our website, and it's to help organisations access and for people from ethnically diverse communities to find organisations that want to be more inclusive. Next slide, please. So exclusively for Black History Month, we're offering 40% discount for organisations to promote their jobs. And that's just for this month. So 40% discount for this month. So hence, from just £300, you can open doors to a new community of talent. Because I think it's quite offensive, when people say we can't find the talent. It's there. And we're trying to make it easier. Next slide, please. We're not far away from Race Equality Week. As we look to the 6th of February, the theme is it's everyone's business, and Tea Break helps with that. And action drives change. We want to move organisation and leaders from just talking about it into meaningful change. And so the onus, EDI or race, is everyone's responsibility, hence it's everyone's business. Next slide. We're developing the program, and there's going to be something called a 5-day challenge, which is basically 5 challenges over 5 days that take 5 minutes. Really simple, but they tackle key issues. And we're launching this in our Get Ready for Race Equality Week event in next month. And then the big promise will also be a key part of it. Next slide, please. So the Get Ready for Race Equality Week, where you find out more about the 5-day challenge, is on the 9th of November. We've done a later in the day thing to accommodate people with different work and family commitments. And then there's also the next Race Network Future Leaders event is going to be on the 24th of November. And the focus is on about this is what works. And it will include some new Trailblazers and what they've done to tackle race inequality. So if we can go to and there's the Guild where you can keep the conversation going. We'll send a link. So we know people like to do connect with each other on LinkedIn, but also join the Guild and ask each other questions and support each other. If we can launch the final poll, please. If you can do that, then we'll go to the Q&A. Thank you. Hopefully everyone can see the poll this time. Thank you all for taking part in the second poll. Fantastic to see 95% of you would recommend today's event to others. So big thank you to Yvonne and for Donna for getting the message across and showing how impact can be made through the Tea Break. So thank you both. Question 2, in comparison to other diversity inclusion initiatives, how effective would you rate Tea Break in tackling race inequality? Fantastic 65% think more effective and 10% significantly more effective. So 75%, that's 2/3 of you here today, think it is more effective at least than other initiatives. And not a single person here today thinks it will make no impact at all. So again, huge thank you to Network Rail's Culture Fusion team for sharing and helping co-create Tea Break. Question 3, how helpful was it to hear from Yvonne from Hammersmith and Fulham Council, a trailblazer for Tea Break? So it's 78% think very good and excellent. In fact, it's 100% good and above. So thank you, Yvonne. Question 4, how helpful were the group discussions? So good, very good and excellent is 66%. So 2/3 of you think it was really helpful to have it. And that's a key thing in this collaboration, learning from each other. So thank you all for taking part and contributing to that. Question 5, do you think tea break will help tackle race inequality in your organisations? And it's 66% again will believe it will be a catalyst for change to significant change, which is fantastic. Question 6, how confident are you now being able to implement tea break? Fantastic. 38% of you feel confident and very confident, and a further 33% feel fairly confident. 30% of you little confident and would like some more support, and we will share with you in due course how we will be able to provide that. Question 7, when do you think you look to run the tea break? So this is a key question. So nearly half of you, 43%, will be during Race Equality Week. But what is great, 5% of you during Black History Month, and then another 10% between November and January. Question 8, how easy do you think it will be to get your senior leaders on board with tea break? So 38% think easy, very easy, and a further 30% fairly easy. Only 15% think with difficulty and 3% impossible. So that's 18%. So nearly 80% of us think we can get senior leaders on board, which is absolutely crucial. Question 9. Do you think tea break will facilitate uncomfortable but necessary conversations about race inequality in your organisations? So 80% of you believe so. Only 3% think no, and we'd love to hear from you why. 18% not sure yet. So hopefully you'll experience it once you run it. So thank you for feeding into the poll, as this helps us develop our events to make them as meaningful and impactful for you as possible. And then also know the support you need kind of going forward, and help us develop Race Equality Matters to shape it to meet yours and your organisation's need. So thank you all. If we'll go into the Q&A now, I think Rebecca Tyree, if you email info@Race Equality Matters with the sort of things you want to do, then we'll get in touch and speak to you. That's all right. Someone's got to leave now. I can't help. Thank you. How do we go about getting so how do you go about getting Trailblazer status following the tea break or another initiative? So again, there is a link above, but after this event, we will send links to Trailblazers to find out more about it and how you register. And that was Kathy. We've got Coral, sorry, Millen. So I have to leave, sorry. How could you tea break work? Right. So Michaela Gray, and if Yvonne could try answer this, how could tea breaks work in a small organisation? We have about 35 people who are mainly white.
I think it's perhaps easier in a smaller organisation. I would have thought, but Michaela, if you reach out to me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to discuss more because conscious of the time. But I think the same principles would apply. So it's just following that guide, but obviously being conscious that you have less staff. But I would have thought it would perhaps be easier. Perhaps if it's mainly white colleagues, again, it's asking them what kind of issues or topics, themes I would like to discuss. Some colleagues are, quite curious in terms of particular things. So it could be quite educational, more raising awareness sort of thing in terms of experiences, the global majority experience in the workplace. There's various ways you could tackle it, I would have thought, but happy to discuss with you. And I'm hoping that helped.
Thank you, Yvonne. And Yvonne, I think mentioned prior, what you can do is get an external speaker in to talk about a theme or topic. And there are some, with YouTube and everything, there's some fantastic videos there that they can, 2-3 minute video sets a tone or the scene about an issue or topic, whether it's microaggressions or white privilege or whatever is going to do. So it's involved in that. We do know some organizations, especially in a community like Cornwall, they've linked up with other small organizations and they've run a tea break together. So that's another way of going about it. But I think, if people are interested, and the topic and theme for that organization might be very different to a different type of organization. So a great question. Okay, so what have been some good tangible outcomes and actions from tea break? If you just want to give 2 or 3, that's from Shay. Yvonne, what have been some good tangible outcomes and actions?
For us, for example, where we had a tea break around barriers to career progression, we're now working with people and talent, which is our HR division, to look at what positive action or steps we can take. So, for example, collecting career progression data and looking at any disproportionality, etc. We're looking at launching an aspiring leaders program aimed at Black, Asian and multi-ethnic staff, job coaching for Black, Asian and multi-ethnic staff. So where we've had those issues, barriers, challenges, etc., work with staff to look at possible recommendations and then looking at what's achievable for the organisation to implement. So that's been quite tangible. The question that's quite related to that from Rosalind, actions from tea break shared across the organisation. Yes, they are. So we shared that with, again, hopefully by sharing the actions, it encourages more to attend if staff can see the benefit of attending tea break, that it's not just a talking shop. So it's shared with participants to tea break, but also with the wider organisation to encourage staff who may be on the fence about attending to actually attend if they see the benefit that's coming from it.
Brilliant, thank you. And another interesting question from Rachel, which is what metrics are used to measure improvement after tea breaks? Do you use any of them?
I think it's things like the number of staff who are attending tea breaks. Have the numbers increased? Is it inclusive? So are we having staff across the organisation, frontline staff, senior staff, etc.? So different roles, that sort of thing. In terms of ethnicity, across the protected characteristics, but also more importantly, it's in terms of the actions we're taking to address the issues that have been raised in tea break. But it's also gauging things like staff survey, staff saying the culture in the organisation is improving. They feel more confident to have their voice, a staff voice is being heard. Do they feel, they can raise something without fear of repercussions? That sort of thing as well. So it's looking at personal, but also what's happening in terms of the culture in the organisation.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes feeling or thinking or acting or behaving different, people are getting more positive experiences, so you get a sense of culture's changing. It can't be measured, but it's happening. And by speaking to race networks or ethnically diverse colleagues, you get a sense of that. So sometimes step at a time, but it's happening. But staff surveys can be once a year sometimes, so it can be a long time to wait, but there are other ways of going about it. I think we'll give a copy of this great points. Yvonne just said then, there are lots of different ways to measure it. So thank you for that. Right, my organisation is a primary school. Welcome, Damon, with an all-white staff by a diverse set of families. Many schools are like that, I think. We have 33 different ethnic backgrounds and 21st languages. Well, there's metrics for you. So thank you, Damon. So 21st language other than English, where do I start? Very interesting. So very multicultural families and pupils, but not staff. Can I ask you if you've got any thoughts on that, Yvonne, please?
To me, I don't know, I guess what people see as challenges, I'm seeing as, oh, this is great. Because I think one way I would say you would start, for example, Damon, is actually educating the majority staff about the diversity of families they have. In terms of the service you're providing to those families to ensure it's inclusive and how they can ensure the curriculum is inclusive, etc. And there's tons of ways you could do that. So, for example, I delivered training to a school on exactly that, a school in Wales that was predominantly white, but they wanted to know how they can, I guess, be more equitable and inclusive. So a tea break session could focus on that, for example. And there's so many ways you could tackle that. So that's one way of looking at it, but also how they could be allies for those families and the minority of Black, Asian and multi-ethnic staff. But there's various ways you could do that. You could look at language, the fact that you speak over 20 languages. I think there's a lot you can do in that space around tea breaks. I'm hoping that was helpful.
Fantastic. And what I would add to it, so a good, and there are different themes that you could run through the whole school. So a good one, and I'm really passionate, again, if we had lots of funding, we'll do it, but is My Name Is. So kids join school the first time the name may be mispronounced for lots of reasons. They're laughed at. It can, a lot of the people we speak to, you know, it's through their schooling, their name has been mispronounced, and it has a huge impact on people. But I'd love every school for the kids to talk to their kid next to them or on their table, introduce yourselves, what's your name? And for a lot of kids and cultures, there's a meaning behind a name, or there's a heritage behind it. And again, you know, the wealth you'll learn from different people about it, and then you'll get the kids going home saying, gosh, I met, you know, Abdullah, so Abdullah in my class, you know, his name means this, or Sherry, their name means this. So it's a fantastic way of doing it. And then the teachers being part of it will learn as well how important it is to get kids' names right. And because quite a lot of kids are given nicknames, and we've heard some teachers correcting a kid how to say the name, and the kids going home, Dad, my name is this. So it can be quite painful on that. So there are lots of ways. I think the kids are the future. So David, brilliant question, and love to hear how your journey goes on that. So thank you for asking it. So conscious of time, so we will wrap up now. Any questions you might want to, it's info@raceequalitymatters.com. Please do feel free to sponsor us. If you can do the next slide, please, Emily. Right, and I said these are some of our partners and collaborators, which is absolutely fantastic for us. So we must thank them. Have to do a big thank you to the wonderful Yvonne, and for inspiring me, answering the questions, some tricky questions there. So thank you for Yvonne, but then also to Donna for going through the guide, and then Emily in the background making the event run well, and Sam. So if not already done so, please do register on our website, because that's how we keep in touch with us. Follow us on our LinkedIn and Twitter, and watch out for new jobs on the jobs board, or do promote on there. And so have a lovely afternoon, and thank you all for your valuable time. Thank you all.